Have you ever caught yourself hesitating, not because you lacked ability, but because you weren't sure others would approve? What happens when you've built your self-worth on being seen, but the spotlight suddenly shifts away? What if the power you're looking for isn't in the noise, but in the silence you've been taught to fear? There's an invisible trap so many of us fall into, and it's disguised as a desire for recognition. It feels natural, even reasonable. We want to be seen. We want others to notice our effort, our growth, our change, to clap for us, to cheer us on, to validate that the work we're doing matters. But here's the problem. When you start needing that validation, you stop owning your power. Because the moment your confidence is built on external applause, you put your peace, your progress, and even your purpose in someone else's hands. And that's a dangerous place to live. Why? Because applause is inconsistent. People are inconsistent. One day they're cheering your name, the next they're silent, or worse, critical. And if their approval fuels your confidence, what will be left when the cheering fades? That's the sobering truth many people don't want to admit. Most of the time, the world isn't watching. They're too distracted by their own journey to notice yours. So what now? Do you wait for someone to tell you you're good enough before you act? Do you post every step online hoping for validation? Do you shrink yourself whenever others don't clap? Or do you choose something better? Do you choose you? There's a quiet strength that comes from learning to move without announcement, from building in silence, from no longer needing permission to show up, grow, and evolve. When you truly make yourself a priority, not in selfishness, but in self-honor, everything changes. You begin to filter out the noise. You stop seeking approval from people who don't understand your journey. You no longer feel the need to explain your moves to those who've never walked a mile in your shoes. Instead, you start pouring all that energy inward, into your growth, your healing, your purpose. That's when the shift happens. You stop looking for applause. You start building discipline. You wake up and put in the work, not to be seen, but because it needs to be done. No performance anxiety, just purpose. Pure, powerful, quiet purpose. And here's what's wild. That's when the results begin to speak. Louder than any caption, stronger than any applause. Maybe right now you've got big dreams, but you're holding back because you're afraid of what they might think. Maybe you've been making real progress, reading more, growing more, healing more. But you're second-guessing it all because someone made a sideways comment that shook your confidence. Let me say this with love and clarity. They don't pay your bills. They don't live your life. They don't carry your calling. So why let them decide what's possible for you? The moment you prioritize your own growth over their opinions, you become untouchable. You stop chasing noise. You start creating real momentum. You stop living to prove. You start living to build. You don't have to shout about your progress. You don't have to defend your dreams. You just have to move. In faith, in focus, and in silence. Because real power, it doesn't ask for attention. It creates results. We live in a culture that rewards visibility, but visibility doesn't equal value. Just because someone is loud doesn't mean they're right. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's purpose-filled. There is a rare kind of confidence that blooms in quiet rooms, behind closed doors, in early mornings and late nights, when no one is watching but you and God. And let me tell you something powerful. That kind of confidence can't be taken away, because it wasn't built by them, it was built within. So here's the challenge. Can you keep building when no one claps? Can you keep growing when no one sees it? Can you believe in yourself even when no one says, "Good job"? Because that's where the difference is made. Not in how loudly you announce your dreams, but in how consistently you show up to build them, quietly, faithfully, daily. So ask yourself this. Are you living for them? Or are you finally living for you? Are your choices guided by truth or by the fear of being misunderstood? Do you still feel the need to explain every step, every pivot, every delay? Because freedom comes when you stop needing permission to become who you were always meant to be. And when you reach that place where silence no longer scares you, where peace becomes your baseline, where growth is your focus, everything changes. You stop competing, you stop comparing, you stop performing, and you start becoming. Verdurut. That's the beauty of this journey. You don't have to shout, you don't have to prove. You just have to move, quietly, boldly, consistently. Because eventually what's done in silence becomes undeniable in the light. And the same people who weren't watching, they'll see, they'll notice. But by then their opinion won't matter, because you didn't do it for them. You did it for you. And now, we go deeper. Because silence is just the beginning. What if the real transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight, but in the shadows where only God sees and where your roots are getting stronger than ever? There's a kind of growth that doesn't look impressive. It's not flashy, it's not loud, it doesn't come with praise or performance. Instead, it happens quietly, slowly, in places far removed from attention. And in today's world, that kind of growth, it's almost invisible. We live in a time that glorifies visibility. You're told that if you're not posting it, it didn't happen. If you're not sharing your every move, then you must not be doing enough. But that's a lie. Some of the most powerful transformation in your life won't happen in front of others. It will happen behind the scenes, when no one is looking, when no one claps, when it's just you and God and the struggle no one else sees. It's in that space, far from noise and expectations, that real change begins. You don't grow stronger on the stage. You grow stronger in the shadows, in the lonely hours, in the quiet nights, in the still mornings when it's just your thoughts and your determination to not quit again. And the hardest part? No one celebrates you during this season. No one reposts your progress. You might feel forgotten, overlooked, even abandoned. But here's the truth. You are not being abandoned. You are being set apart. Think of the seed. Before it ever breaks the surface, it must go underground. It must be hidden, buried, covered in darkness. But that darkness doesn't mean death. It means development. You are in that season now. You are not stuck. You are being prepared. Prepared for growth, for strength, for something that's going to outlast the storm. And yes, this season is uncomfortable because you are shedding the parts of you that no longer align with who you're becoming. You're pruning your habits. You're shifting your mindset. You're learning how to stand alone, not because you want to, but because this part of your process requires it. You are being shaped in silence. And that kind of shaping, it's sacred. You don't owe anyone an explanation for this quiet season. You don't have to justify your distance, your focus, or your need for solitude. Some people will misunderstand you, and that's okay. They don't see what you're building. They don't know what God is doing inside you. Not everyone is meant to understand your process, because not everyone is meant to go where you're going. And when you understand that, you stop trying to be everywhere. You stop trying to be everything to everyone. You stop chasing the approval of people who were never assigned to your calling in the first place. Instead, you protect your process. You honor the quiet. You show up every day, even when it doesn't look like much is happening, because something is happening. Beneath the surface, your roots are growing deeper. Your foundation is getting stronger, and soon the world will see the fruit of what you watered in secret. So don't rush this part. Don't let the silence fool you into thinking you're off track. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not late. You're not behind. You're becoming. And when it's time, you won't need to announce it, because the evidence of your growth will speak for itself. In the next chapter, we'll explore a power even deeper than silence, a peace that doesn't come from the world, but is built inside of you, one quiet choice at a time. In the quiet seasons of growth, something sacred happens, but only if you learn to protect the one thing that fuels your transformation, your energy. Page 3. Guarding your energy, mastering your focus. Discipline doesn't just show up when you feel motivated. It's a choice, a conscious, deliberate act of placing your energy where it actually matters. It means being intentional, even when no one's watching. And it means remembering, just because someone else is winning, doesn't mean you're losing. Too many of us fall into the trap of comparison, believing success has a timeline or a finish line. But life is not a race. There's no clock ticking down on your greatness. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be. Imagine a runner mid-race. The moment they look to the side to check someone else's position, they lose focus. Their stride breaks, their form shifts, their momentum slows. Why? Because they stopped running their race and started reacting to someone else's. And that's exactly what happens when you let comparison lead your decisions. You start questioning your pace. You begin to mimic others instead of trusting your own rhythm. But when you keep your eyes forward, when you stay in your lane, your movement becomes intentional. You stop reacting to noise and start moving with quiet, unstoppable focus. Success, after all, isn't about being first. It's about being consistent. So today, choose something bold. Make a decision to stop measuring your worth by someone else's highlight reel. Stop comparing timelines. Stop borrowing pressure that was never meant for you. Instead, look within. Look at the person you were yesterday and become better. Because at the end of the day, that's the real competition. You versus your own potential. And if each morning you wake up and can say, I'm growing, even just a little, then you're already winning. Energy is one of your most valuable resources. And yet, so many people waste it. They waste it on meaningless arguments, on trying to prove themselves to people who never really cared, on holding on to things that should have been released long ago. But when you realize how precious your energy truly is, you begin to protect it like gold. You stop giving it away freely. You become selective, intentional. You start choosing where your energy flows, who gets access to it, and what you're allowing to live rent-free in your mind. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every comment needs a response. Not every situation requires your involvement. Some of you feel stuck, not because you lack ambition, not because you're lazy, but because you're drained. Not from the work of becoming, but from the weight of distractions that never should have entered your space in the first place. You've been spending your precious energy dealing with drama, entertaining negativity, defending choices you don't even owe anyone an explanation for. And then you wonder why you feel exhausted. Why you feel like you're spinning your wheels, stuck in the same place. It's not that you can't move forward. It's that you're spending all your power fighting battles that don't belong to you. Here's a hard truth. Not everyone deserves access to you. Just because someone demands your time doesn't mean you have to give it. Just because someone questions your path doesn't mean you have to defend it. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live your life. Some things are best handled in silence. Some battles aren't worth the cost. Some people are simply distractions in disguise, sent to detour you, and if you're not careful, you'll end up spending more time managing them than building yourself. There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. Busy people are always reacting, always chasing, always surrounded by noise. But at the end of the day, they've built nothing. No peace, no purpose, no progress. Because busyness without boundaries leads to burnout. But when you become intentional, when you choose how and where your energy goes, everything changes. You stop getting pulled into petty conversations. You stop explaining your worth to people who never truly listened. You stop reacting to chaos. You start protecting your peace. You begin to move with direction, not just motion. And before long, you start seeing real growth. Yes, people will talk. They always will. About what you're doing, about how you're doing it, about whether or not you'll succeed. But none of that defines you. Their opinions don't shape your outcome. Their doubts don't rewrite your destiny. And the day you realize that, you're free. You stop chasing approval. You stop proving your worth. You stop explaining every move. And you start putting your energy exactly where it belongs. On your healing, on your goals, on your growth. That's where power is built. That's where discipline is developed. And discipline is what allows you to stay grounded, even when life around you feels chaotic. So yes, at first people may wonder why you don't engage the way you used to, why you've gone quiet, why you stopped defending yourself. But in time, they'll understand. They'll see the fruit. They'll see the focus. they'll see the peace. Because when you stop wasting your energy and start using it wisely, your life becomes the answer. From this moment forward, guard your energy like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Be intentional, be selective, be focused, because when your energy is protected, nothing can stop you from becoming everything you were created to be. And now, as we turn the page, let's go even deeper. Into the part of your journey where consistency becomes your superpower, and where showing up daily, even without applause, becomes the path to real transformation. Let's step into page 4, where quiet consistency leads to undeniable success. You've started to protect your energy. You've learned that silence and focus can do more for your growth than noise ever could. Now it's time to understand the one thing that turns vision into victory. Consistency. Page 4, quiet consistency, the secret to lasting success. Here's the truth most people ignore. Success doesn't come to those who start strong. It comes to those who keep showing up. It's easy to feel inspired at the beginning. When the idea is fresh, the vision is clear, the excitement is high, motivation comes naturally. But what about the days when it's not exciting? When no one's clapping? When the results seem invisible? That's when most people fade. That's when they slow down, give up, or look for shortcuts. But the people who truly succeed, they keep going. They understand that momentum doesn't come from big moves. It comes from small actions, repeated over time, with intention. Consistency is a decision. It's not based on mood, not based on motivation. It's a commitment, a quiet, personal vow to show up, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. Think of the gym goer who builds muscle. It doesn't happen in one workout. It happens through repetition, through showing up again and again when it's cold, when it hurts, when it feels pointless. And that's what your growth requires too. Not one burst of inspiration, but daily devotion. Not noise, but rhythm. A lot of people say they want success. They talk about it. They get excited about a new plan, a new dream, a new version of themselves. But excitement is not enough, because the moment it gets hard, the moment it doesn't feel good anymore, they slow down. They start seeking easy. They stop showing up with the same fire they had on day one. And slowly, the dream fades. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Real success doesn't come from intensity. It comes from consistency. You don't need to leap. You just need to take the next step, then the next. Even when you don't see progress, even when the results are slow, even when you're the only one who believes in the goal. Because something is happening. Inside you, around you, through you. Every time you choose to stay the course. Every time you stay focused when others quit. Every time you choose progress over excuses. Every time you show up without applause. You are becoming unstoppable. Think about this. How many times have you seen someone start something with passion, only to disappear the moment it gets uncomfortable? They blame the timing. They blame the system. They blame other people. But deep down, the truth is, they didn't stay consistent. They gave up too soon. Because consistency isn't just doing something when it's fun. It's doing it when it's boring, when it's quiet, when it's not glamorous, when no one's asking you how it's going. Gaimmo. That's why the most successful people in the world often aren't the loudest. They're the most disciplined. They're not broadcasting every move. They're just doing the work, every single day. They don't announce goals. They achieve them. They don't shout about their grind. They live it. So here's your challenge. Can you keep going even when it feels like no one sees you? Can you stay focused even when nothing seems to be changing? Can you build without praise, without hype, without validation? Because if you can, you've tapped into a rare, unshakable kind of strength. The kind that doesn't burn out, the kind that doesn't need permission, the kind that creates legacy. From this moment forward, remind yourself, I don't need to rush. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to stay consistent. One decision at a time, one quiet choice after another, brick by brick, step by step, day by day. And over time, that rhythm will build something unbreakable. Not just success, but character. And that's something no one can take from you. So now that you've embraced the power of consistency, let's go deeper. Because behind that consistency, there's something even more powerful being developed: resilience, the strength to keep going no matter what. Let's explore that deeper layer in page 5, where peace becomes permanent and your progress speaks without a word. You've learned that consistency, not intensity, builds legacy. Now it's time to lean into that truth, especially when motivation fades and the journey feels long. Because the real test isn't how loudly you start, but how quietly you keep going. Page 5. When motivation fades, keep moving in silence. Let's be honest. You've probably made commitments, set goals, promised yourself change, only to watch them fade when life got hard or busy. And you're not alone. We've all done it. But that's what separates those who make it from those who don't. The ones who succeed, they don't wait for motivation. They don't rely on hype or emotion. They rely on discipline. They rely on habits built over time. And most of all, they understand this. Success is built in the moments you feel like quitting, but show up anyway. Some of you are sitting on life-changing dreams. You know what you want. You've felt the pull in your spirit, but you're still waiting. Waiting for the perfect time, the perfect mood, the perfect plan. Let me be real with you. That perfect time doesn't exist. There will never be a flawless moment to begin. You either start now or keep making excuses. And if you're not consistent now, in the present, you'll never step into the future you dream of. So here's what you must do. Move in silence. Stop announcing every idea, every goal, every shift. Stop seeking permission before you act. Just do the work. Because when you talk too much, you open yourself up to unnecessary voices. You invite opinions. You give room for doubt. You start looking outward for approval instead of inward for alignment. But when you stay locked in, when you stop explaining and just execute, no one can interfere with your path. People notice results before they ever notice effort. They won't see the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the internal battles, the tears, the doubt, the times you almost gave up. But one day, when the fruit shows, they'll look at your success and think, wow, where did that come from? They'll think it happened overnight, but you'll know the truth. It came from the moments you were faithful in private, from the choices you made when no one clapped, from the consistency you kept even when nothing seemed to change. That's why you must stay committed even when it feels invisible, even when it seems like no one is watching. Because the process will always test you before it rewards you. It will ask, how bad do you really want this? Will you keep going when it's not easy? Can you believe in what's coming, even when you can't see it yet? Those who pass that test win. The world is full of noise, constant opinions, distractions, doubts, unnecessary conversations. And if you're not careful, that noise will drown out your own voice. You'll lose direction. You'll forget why you started. That's why you must shut it out. You must separate yourself from the negativity, from the fear, from the people who do nothing but slow you down. Because if you don't, you'll spend your life reacting instead of creating, following instead of building, listening instead of leading. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. Not everyone will believe in your dream. Some will doubt you. Some will discourage you, not because they see your flaws, but because your growth forces them to question their own stagnation. People will try to pull you down to the level they're stuck in, but that's not your problem. You don't need their permission to become who you were designed to be. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your elevation. Some of you are still carrying the weight of other people's expectations. You're second-guessing, overthinking, waiting for approval that may never come. Let it go. Because here's the truth. They don't live your life. They won't deal with the consequences of your decisions. You will. And if you spend your life trying to make others comfortable, you'll never unlock your true potential. Protect your vision. Shield it from unnecessary opinions. Because the moment you start rising, distractions will increase. The more you grow, the more voices will try to direct your next move. But remember, you were not born to follow their path. You were born to walk in purpose. Those who succeed understand something simple but powerful. Silence is strength. Discipline is louder than applause. Focus requires isolation. You don't need the crowd, you need clarity. Even if no one else sees the vision, you must. Even if no one understands the path, you walk it anyway. Some of you have dreams so big they scare you. And because they scare you, you start seeking reassurance. You wait for someone to tell you, you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. But what if no one ever says that? Will you stop? Will you shrink your dream to fit their small perspective? Or will you keep going anyway? You can't afford to wait. You can't afford to let fear or doubt or others' disbelief slow you down. Because belief starts with you. Until you trust your vision, no one else will. At the end of the day, your success, your peace, your growth, it all depends on what you choose to protect. Protect your energy, protect your focus, protect your purpose. You don't need validation to be great. You don't need applause to rise. You need discipline, you need courage. You need the grit to keep going when the reward is still invisible. Stop explaining, stop waiting, stop shrinking. Move, in purpose, in silence, in power. Because your journey is yours, and the world cannot ignore the results that come from relentless, quiet, unwavering growth. Now that you've embraced the power of silence, discipline, and personal belief, it's time to shift from building internally to impacting externally. Because everything you've planted in the dark is about to break the surface. Let's step into page 6, where we explore the moment your life begins to speak, louder than your words ever could. You've done the work in silence. You've stayed consistent in the shadows. You've built discipline when no one noticed. Now something powerful is starting to shift, the moment where your results begin to speak for themselves. Think about this. How many times have you seen someone commit to something? Start with energy, passion, even public announcements, only to quit weeks later when life got inconvenient. Now be honest with yourself. How many times have you done the same? That's the difference between those who rise and those who remain. Those who rise understand one truth. Motivation fades. Discipline carries you forward. Motivation is an emotion. It's inconsistent. It shows up when things feel exciting, but disappears the moment obstacles appear. Discipline, though? That's a decision. It's showing up when no one claps. It's doing the work, even when you're tired, frustrated, unseen. And if you can learn to rely on discipline instead of emotion, there is nothing you can't build. Some of you are waiting for the right time, the perfect conditions, the clear sign that it's time to start. But deep down, you know the truth. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. And if you keep waiting for certainty, you'll delay your destiny. Stop announcing every move. Stop asking for permission to pursue your goals. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You just need to begin. Because when you speak too much about your plans, you give people space to inject doubt. You allow distractions to find you. You start seeking approval instead of execution. But when you move in silence, you stay focused. You stay aligned. You stay protected. People won't see the work. They won't notice the early mornings, the sacrifices, the doubts you've overcome. But they will see the fruit. One day, the results will be undeniable. The life you built will speak louder than anything you could have said. And when that day comes, they'll call it luck. They'll say, you came out of nowhere. They'll wonder how you did it. But you'll know, it wasn't magic. It was consistency. It was the unseen work you did when no one was watching. Remember, the process will always test you before it blesses you. It will stretch you. It will ask, can you keep going even when it feels like it's not working? Can you be faithful in the silence? Will you plant even when the soil feels dry? Because those who pass the test, they reap the harvest. Every day, the world throws noise at you. Opinions, doubts, distractions. And if you're not intentional, that noise will drown out your purpose. That's why protecting your focus is no longer optional. It's essential. You must shut out the voices that try to limit you. You must guard your vision, not because it's fragile, but because it's precious. Some people won't understand you, and they're not supposed to. Their doubt has nothing to do with your destiny. So stop explaining, stop defending, stop shrinking your dream to fit their comfort zone. You owe no one an explanation for your elevation. The bigger your dream, the more resistance you'll face. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're breaking cycles. You're stepping outside the box others settled in. You're walking paths others were too afraid to try. And the more you grow, the more uncomfortable others may become. They'll criticize what they don't understand, but don't let that stop you. Their fear has nothing to do with your faith. The truth is, you don't need validation. You need vision. You don't need applause. You need alignment. You don't need agreement. You need action. And when you focus your energy on your purpose, when you protect your peace, when you stay consistent in silence, everything changes. At the end of the day, your growth is your responsibility. Your future is shaped by your daily decisions. And if there's one thing to remember, it's this. Discipline will take you where motivation never could. So choose to stay locked in. Choose to keep your eyes forward. Choose to build, even if no one's clapping. One day your results will speak for you. And when they do, the same people who questioned your silence will be silenced by your success. Because your life will speak louder than any announcement ever could. Coming up in page 7, we step into the next level of inner power, where peace isn't just something you protect, it becomes something that protects you. Ready to walk into that kind of peace? Let's keep going. You've learned to move in silence. You've chosen discipline over noise. You've started walking in quiet consistency, step by step, even when no one was watching. Now it's time to go deeper. Because once you stop seeking validation, once you protect your focus, something sacred starts to rise. Peace. Not the kind given by the world, but the kind you build from within. Most people don't realize how much noise surrounds them until they step away from it. The opinions, the drama, the doubts, the pressure to perform, respond, react. It's like background static constantly buzzing in your ears, so subtle you don't even realize it's draining you. Until one day you sit in silence and feel the peace you didn't know you were missing. But here's the thing, peace doesn't just happen. You have to protect it. It starts by shutting out the noise. Not just outside noise, but the internal kind too. The overthinking, the fear, the need to explain yourself. Because if you don't guard your peace, you'll spend your life in defense mode, reacting instead of responding, surviving instead of building. And let's be honest, not every conversation needs a response. Not every situation needs your energy. Not every critic deserves your attention. When you choose peace over proving, you shift your power inward. You no longer allow other people's chaos to become your burden. You stop being emotionally available for everyone's opinion. You stop letting your day be dictated by the mood of others. You stop carrying emotional debts that don't belong to you. Peace is not passivity. It's strength under control. It's the decision to choose calm over chaos, to walk away from drama, to protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Some of you are tired, not because you're doing too much, but because you're carrying too many unnecessary battles. You're responding to every ping, every poke, every problem that isn't yours, and it's costing you your peace. But when you draw the line, when you decide, this doesn't get access to my spirit, everything shifts. You sleep better, you think clearer, you start moving with more clarity and confidence, because peace is alignment. It's your spirit and your purpose walking in sync. It's your yes being intentional and your no being unapologetic. And here's what most don't understand. Peace isn't a weakness, it's a strategy. In a world addicted to reaction, your ability to remain calm becomes your competitive edge. The loudest one in the room isn't always the strongest. Often, it's the one who has the least control. But the one who can stay silent in the storm, they're the ones building something lasting. You begin to realize, not everything needs a post. Not every milestone needs to be shared. Not every win needs to be announced. Because true peace doesn't crave attention. It creates direction. And when you have inner peace, you start attracting peace outwardly. Your environment shifts. Toxicity starts to fade. Misalignment starts to fall away. Peace becomes your filter. You stop entering rooms that steal your joy. You stop entertaining people who thrive on chaos. You stop making choices out of fear or FOMO. Because when peace leads, purpose follows. And once you've tasted true peace, you'll stop chasing anything that costs it. Don't be surprised when people don't understand your silence. Let them wonder. Let them talk. You're growing. You're healing. You're aligning. And when your peace matures, you won't just feel it. Others will too. Your presence will shift rooms. Not because you're loud, but because you're deeply anchored. So from here on out, let peace be your compass. Let it guide your yes. Let it protect your no. Let it become your new normal. Because when you learn to walk in peace, you walk in power. Thank you for watching. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, if it reminded you to protect your peace, walk in purpose, and grow in silence, then don't let the journey end here. Hit that like button to help this message reach someone else who needs it. Drop a comment and tell me what resonated most with your soul. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of stillness, strength, and purpose. We're not just building content here, we're building a community of grounded minds, of faithful hearts, of quiet warriors. So stay with us, stay present, stay becoming. Your silence is power, your growth is sacred, your life will speak when the time is right. Until next time, stay grounded, stay faithful, and keep growing, quietly, boldly, purposefully. See you in the next one.